Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up. This is webinar number 3 of 3 for the Intuitive Coach Training Program. So welcome. Let's just take a minute and close our eyes and just bring our presence here with us tonight. So of course, if you're driving, not to close your eyes, but go ahead and gently close your eyes. And just allow yourself to settle into your breathing. Take an inhale and move into an exhale. Belly rises and belly falls. Softening the shoulders down. Opening the heart. Opening the back of the neck a little bit. And being open and receptive to whatever shows up in tonight's class. Bringing your center and focus here. And leaving everything else at the door. After a few more breaths, whenever you're ready, gently and slowly opening your eyes, coming back into the bright room. Welcome, everybody. I know everyone's on schedules and stuff like that, so we want to start right away. And we can go to a deeper meditation when I teach the process that we're teaching tonight. So welcome. For those of you who watched last time's recording, or were on the call last time, tonight we actually have 3 people who have taken ICT before who are here to share their stories. And one of them is actually in India, so I'm going to pull her up right away because it's only 6 or 7 in the morning there. And then we've given the option that as soon as they share, they can leave. And then if there's questions, if you could type them into the box. But there's 3 of them. There's Nira, there's Sep, and there's Danny. So I'll bring them up one at a time. And we've asked them to share anything they want about the program. We didn't pay them. We didn't course them. In fact, Danny, I literally texted 10 minutes ago. Literally, because I could feel her energy. And thank you, Danny. Nira sent me for about a week. But they're going to share how the course helped them, didn't help them, transform them, didn't transform them. We're not paying them. There's none of that. It's just purely from their heart that they're coming back to share. As I said last week, if I invited everybody back, we would have like 90 or 100 people on this call, like literally. So I'm going to bring Nira up first. And Lynnette, do you want to hear or ask Nira anything before we bring her up? Or
no, I think if Nira, if you could just speak to, and thank you for being here, sweetie.
Yeah.
So appreciate it, all the way from India. If you could just speak to, maybe a little bit about, who you were, the transformation that showed up for you. If there was a money conversation, just whatever you feel called, right?
Okay, sounds good. Can everybody hear me? That's the question.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. As mentioned, I'm now in Delhi, India. So this is, it's very early in the morning here, but I'm so happy to be able to share because this course changed my life. And so when Divi and Lynnette ask me to share my experience, it's always an absolute yes. And that's how I speak of this experience, is it literally changed my life. Did this program 2 years ago now, and found myself in a place of huge transition in my life. I had just been divorced, or had separated, I should say, and raising 3 kids, and was a stay-at-home mom and looking for something. What I didn't know then that I know now is I was looking for myself, to find out who I am, because, as many people wear their hats, they sometimes get lost in conversation of being a mom, being a partner, work life, whatever it may be. And so when I stripped myself bare of all those titles, I sort of had to ask myself, who am I? And I found myself, a friend of mine knew Divi and sort of said, hey, check her out. And at the time I didn't it was probably in December and our course had started in January. And I just saw some of the work they were doing on energy. And I felt like, yes. I understand this. Oh, I love this. I love this. I want more. And so I connected with Divi, and literally she's like, what do you want me to say to help? Are you ready kind of idea? And I was like, pretty much yes. I just, my silly question had to go something like this. Do I need to be vegan or like stop drinking alcohol. Like that was literally my only thing because I was like, I'm totally sold on the material, but like, do I have to change who I am? And that was like a weird thing to ask because I didn't want to be forced to do something. I wanted to, if something feels natural, to like ease into it. And they were just kind of laughing because like Lynette's from Texas. And then Divi was like, I got a bottle of wine here. And then I was like, I'm from Texas. I eat beef. So I was like, okay, sold. Like really it was just that little nudge of like, okay, this is your fit. Um, the first few months of the course were really amazing in terms of there was a lot of energy work and just sort of opening up to what is and learning more about energy and how it works, how um, how you present yourself is how the world presents itself to you. And so that was really learning that aspect of it. And I'm one who comes from the East Indian culture. And so I didn't know a lot about emotions. So through the first 6 months, it was really learning how to just feel. And I know that sounds really funny, but for a lot of people, that's a challenge because um, we haven't been raised necessarily in these households where people have allowed us to just feel. So, to feel all the emotions on the spectrum. So things like anger, I was scared and fearful of going there because my whole life I was told it's bad, right? And so to just be able to sit in that space of saying, oh, it's okay. I'm safe to be angry. And that's what, the first 6 months of the course was really the safety to know you're okay being who you are. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's an individual experience, and whatever works for you works for you. And yeah, so just like knowing the acceptance that you can hold for yourself. I think that's something that, again, wasn't raised in a culture where it was okay to just be, without the belief system, the cultural aspect, and just also, as I see many females here right now, but this also works for men, but just like being a female in the world and being okay with that and how it looks. So that's been sort of a really big transition for me and not understanding really what that meant before this course began.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. And so the second portion, it was a little bit, it was actually more crunchy in terms of, I didn't realize my relationship with money was as warped as it was until we started talking about money. And so it's interesting because I have always been an abundant person and I was born into abundance, but I also struggled with that because oftentimes you feel guilty for just being abundant because there's not everybody is in that same space as you. And so kind of it's interesting shame over money that you didn't even know existed. And part of it was a personal thing, but a lot of it was also lineage because again, come from immigrants who came to I'm from Canada, so Canada and the struggle of being someone somewhere new and finding your place in a culture that was made for traditionally white people. And so the transition for a lot of cultural aspects that sort of showed up at some point in the journey too. And let's see. And so I am a certified coach now, but at the time, the fear of like working one-on-one with people and like how like being nervous of I don't know if I have the experience, I don't know if I've got this, but at the same time, just saying trusting myself. And I think that's like in essence that the whole course and really in life, it's all about trust.
Mhm.
And when you start to really trust in yourself, the more you trust, the more in flow you become, the more ease in life you have, the more peaceful you are, the more abundance you allow in your life. And so the trusting aspect was really huge for me in terms of just, I was doing readings with people and stuff would come up and it felt uncomfortable for me to sort of sometimes say what was coming forward in terms of my intuition, but I learned to just trust it because what what I feel about this, it's not about that. It's me sending a message for someone else, and the impact that message is to someone else is different than what the message would mean to me. So to kind of keep yourself distant from the session in terms of I'm just a messenger. It's not about me. I'm not to include my interpretations of what this may mean, because if I say the word snow, all of us may have a different reaction to that. And that's sort of how you look at intuition, is that it's an individualized experience. While we have common issues, it looks and presents itself differently for each one of us. And yeah, and so for me, the investment was a no-brainer. And like initially, and when I look back at it now, if someone said, would you do that again? I would say 1,000%, 1,000,000%, because I've never been more happy, in love with myself, and confident to stand in this world that really is for all of us to share an experience together. And it's just having that connection for me to know that I found my purpose. And so, yeah, I mean, these women are miracle workers, as I'm sure the rest of the women will kind of attest to, and just allowing you to feel safe to really go deep, because you will go deep in this course, and there will be resistance, and all of it is okay. There's no way you can do it wrong. It's just gonna show how it shows, and just to be comfortable to understand that you're okay. And you will be okay, and you have always been okay. It's just now you're okay to talk about your experience, to share.
Thank you, Nira. Does anybody have any questions for Nira? You want to either ask or type in the chat box, anything?
I know it's early in the morning, and there's 2 other people, so you can always ask them or us. We just brought a couple of people to start off, and then we'll go into a process in a sec. But
Right.
just make
Well,
sure
and plus with her, yeah, since
Yeah.
it's so early for her.
I know. Let's give it a second and make sure, Nira, before we let you go back to sleep or whatever
No
we want
worries.
to do early in the morning.
I'm not going back to sleep. You know what? It's funny. The 13-hour time difference, I'm actually finding myself waking up earlier. So it's
Right.
like, I'm hungry.
That's awesome. You've adapted.
Yeah.
You've adjusted. You've landed.
Yeah,
So-
and honestly, ladies, just so you guys know, like even in terms of abundance, like I've accepted this abundance into my life. That me saying yes and coming here with no guilt, I have kids, and just like enjoying myself, that's part of this whole process of transformation too. I'm sure a lot of people struggle with that at times. So like, yeah, and being present. So that's why even sending a message to Divi saying, listen, I'm in India and I'm happy to do this, but like, I'm present in India. Like, I'm totally going to take that in. So,
Sarah has a question. Honey.
Sarah has a question. Sarah.
Hi everyone. Hi Nira. Thank you for doing this for us. I was just curious, you mentioned that you didn't, or it sounds like you didn't know that you would become a coach right away until you maybe got further into the program. And I was just curious about how you felt about your own connection to your intuition before starting this course, and how much confidence you had or didn't have about whether you could actually use those skills to help other people eventually.
Good question.
okay. Yeah. Okay. So I knew was intuitive. I didn't exactly know what that meant. I didn't know how it presented itself. I didn't know how I could use it. And did I have the confidence? No, heck no. Not before this course, not at all. And I think you start to, as each month comes along and you start doing different processes and working with different people, you start to connect more with how it works for you and how you experience it. Because one of the things I did learn is it kind of shows itself in different ways for everybody. And everybody has sort of their different clairs that open up at times. And for me, like I will say, I'm like most people, I think, you know, it's said the clairsentience is sort of the first one that opens really itself to you. And I was feeling like my body would just kind of and like vibrate. And I, you know, and it was like such a weird thing. It felt like happening to me. And so I would just sort of kind of ask around, is this normal? Because like, I would say like my body, even in a meditation, will move and do these things. And it was just like, that's okay. You're safe. Like, that's your normal and that's okay. Just go with the flow. So yeah, like learning to be confident and understanding that it doesn't have to look a specific way for you to be intuitive. It's just the way your energy experiences it, your body experiences it, you know. I'm a very physical being, and I think that's sort of how it's come to me. But it was also learning through the course how you can change that too. Like I would ask for guidance and say, can you please help give me this experience in a more softer manner, so that my body wouldn't feel so it would kind of ease and I could feel it in an area, but without kind of having to feel like the restriction like so tight. So it's kind of fun how you can kind of work with your spirit energy and ask them to guide you and support you in a way that feels more natural. And yeah, the coaching aspect, I thought it sounded great. I didn't really know what it meant, but I just kept kind of going forward. And being a person who didn't have a quote unquote job, you know, raising kids, because that's not, you know, how society looks at that. It was sort of like being, you know, separated and creating income. It sounded great, but I didn't know what that kind of looked like until we progressed towards the end of the course. And like I said, the more I just trusted, the more I felt comfortable and confident in my intuition. And yeah, and even listen, like everybody, there's the ebbs and the flows, the ups and the downs. And I can't say, oh, it was like boom from the get-go. It's like everything in life, practice, 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 and time. And that's one of the pieces that like I will say for me personally is if you are not a patient person, you will learn patience. Because you know, there's going to be a lot of like boom, smack you in the face. You don't get this, boom, smack you in the face. And what I mean like that is like the patterns. Yeah, the patterns just keep showing up and you're like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? It's like, because clearly you haven't learned yet.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah. Any other questions before we let Mira go enjoy Delhi? And wake up?
Yeah. Give me coffee.
Thank you, Mira, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for taking the time.
Really
Go ahead.
honored.
Of course.
Yes. And thank you for going to some chai for both of us.
Yes.
Do that.
For all
Yes,
three of us.
All right. Namaste.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Are you guys comfortable if we bring up Sep and then Danny? Lynnette,
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
okay. So Sep, let me bring you up and then bring up Danny in a second. So
All right. You guys hear me?
yeah, you're good to go, Sep. There you are.
Just gonna pin you. There you go. Hi, Sam.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sep. So I first want to say how fun it is to see that Neera is in India. I'm just in the office right now, but I haven't met in my office, and I'll tell you what I do shortly. But the other fun part is both Danny, Neera, and I met in Sedona and through other community events, and we're in different classes. I was in the COVID class, which was a blessing in and of itself. So I'm Sep. I usually like to say I play in the head and the heart. The head as a corporate commercial and technology lawyer, and I also create and commercialize technologies and innovations in this space and in other spaces. worldwide. So that's fun. And the head, because I am a practicing intuitive coach, and I put on different community and corporate mindfulness and wellness events too. So I've been doing that for almost 2 years now. So that's how I ended up integrating this practice into my world. So let's see where I was and where I am now. Where I was back then, there was a piece of me that felt like it was missing. And even though I had done a lot of this work in the sense of I had read all the books, I have practiced with different practitioners, I had gone to retreats all around the world trying to find that missing piece, being a really overworked and tired lawyer, working at a big national firm and having accomplished a lot of things in my life. I was very much an overachiever, a perfectionist, a people pleaser. From the outside, everyone would have looked at me and said, I was so successful and I must have been so happy. But there were still some things missing for me. And throughout this work, and how did I even get into this work? Let's see. I found Divi, and I was coaching with Divi over, I think it was a 6-month period. And even the way Divi came into my life was really quite incredible. I was asking the universe for a mentor or someone I could kind of go deeper with in this work. And someone randomly suggested her to me. I spoke to her, started coaching with her, and she told me about this program. And I'll start with the first thing, like the money piece when it comes to the program. It's a big investment, and it's a big investment on time and finances. And as a lawyer, I didn't feel like I had very much time to commit to something like this. And financially speaking, it's a big amount. And logically, you might think to yourself, like, is it worth it? And it was so weird because looking at the number, I would be like, no. Brain saying, I don't think so. Like, nothing is worth this much money. I could take a university course. There was a part of me that was like, this feels really right. So I kind of ignored that logical brain of mine and took the leap. And now looking back at it, I can't even tell you, like, I'm getting shivers just thinking about it. It was the best investment I could have made in my entire life. And it's so much deeper than like just working one-on-one with a coach or going to clinical counseling or doing any of the retreats or anything else. This is almost a year-long intensive where you have to look at all of these things that you thought you had even figured out in some aspects and go even deeper. And once you do that, you truly realize what is underneath a lot of the conditioning, some of the trauma, and the different pieces that we've picked up over our life. So it's almost this unfolding process where we start to reveal our true self, which is a lot of what Neera was saying too. It's like, who am I? What am I? How do I serve? Really finding your purpose. And that's really what this program allowed me to do. It also allowed me to nip in the bud some of the patterns I had in relationships. Over time, I was, finding the same partner over and over again, having the same experience. And it allows you to dive deeper into that. After this program ended, I ended up, going into intuitive coaching. I even ended up changing what I do as a lawyer and bringing on this innovation aspect because it was more aligned with what I wanted. And so in a way, I created a completely unprecedented role, which doesn't exist in big law firms. It's, it's never been done before. I basically work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the legal profession, and the Mondays and Fridays I've dedicated to doing this work. So I've been able to kind of meld the two together. And to be honest, I don't know how people navigate the world without intuition. It has saved me on so many fronts over this last period of time. Even the fact that I wanted to have the conversation about what would it look like to be part-time in law. A lot of people wouldn't allow themselves to have that conversation or would be too afraid to ask. And this kind of gave me the support, the intuition gave me the support. And then to even work at a big firm doing this, the intuition was all there supporting me throughout this entire process, leading me, giving me breadcrumbs, and all I had to do was follow along. And typically we stop ourselves from following the breadcrumbs that are put there for us because of the fear that shows up. So we can see the fear and still take the step with intuition. And to be honest, I wasn't planning on coaching either. Like Neera, I think maybe it was 6 months into the program. We have these mentors that have our previous graduates of the program that work with us. And she kept asking me, oh, do you think you're going to coach? And I'm like, no. And I kept saying that over and over again. And, you know, there's that little voice within me. It's like, you're probably going to do this, but I'm going to say no right now because I was still afraid. And really what it came down to is it became such an easy thing that I flowed into, even though, you know, when you step out on your own, there's a little bit of a struggle, but the intuition helps. But what ends up happening is you have to do a bunch of hours to get your accreditation, and you do these practice sessions with people. And after doing those with 10 or so people, all of those people kept calling me and asking me for more. Groups started asking me to do events for them. So originally I started doing this on the side on a volunteer basis in the mornings and the evenings on the weekends. But then it started to pick up, especially, you know, after COVID, everyone was needing a lot more support. And so that's how it became a Monday and Friday thing that I started doing, because it just took on a life of its own and it kept going. So it wasn't even like me deciding, it was almost the universe deciding, like, you're going to flow into this. A lot of people need this. And I'm even noticing how I'm bringing a lot of those discussions in the legal world, in the professional world. People want this. People seek this. They just don't even know that it's out there. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Maybe I'll just pause there to see if there are any questions, and I'm happy to answer more, go even deeper into my experience, but I'll stop at that.
Anybody, any questions?
See if there's
What-
any.
One of the things that I find powerful that you shared, Sep, is that there's a lot of questions like, what if I don't want to be an intuitive coach? How can I weave this into my job, right? How can I use this in my life? And you're an example of that. You've created your own position by using this word. Is that right? Did I hear that correctly? Right?
Right.
So what do you feel has been the biggest personal transformation, like, for you?
My entire life.
Okay.
I think what it really comes down to is, like, if you told me who I used to be, I wouldn't recognize that version of me. That version who would make decisions that would, you know, go against the things that I actually wanted without realizing why I was doing what I was doing. So it's completely transformed my relationships. I'll definitely say that. Attracting the right people in. I have a completely different community around me now, a community that's aligned in this piece. And some of it was created within this, but then I started magnetizing and drawing other people in. Financially speaking, you know, I'm working less, but I'm actually making more money. So that's kind of great. What other area of life? Health-wise? Oh, I had an injury. If I didn't have my intuition when I went through my injury, I had to learn how to walk twice. I don't know what I would have done. It gave me the mental resilience. It gave me the spiritual, like, peace I needed. And I actually launched my business during that injury. Would I have been able to do that otherwise? Was it not for this work? No. And then to even look deeper within that and do some ancestral work and clearing around that. My relationships with my family has changed. So I don't think that you can do this work without all aspects of your life shifting. And I am still doing the work, and I believe in it, and I will do it for the rest of my life, because it is very much this lifelong pursuit that we're all on. Yeah. So my entire being has changed.
I love that.
Yeah.
We didn't pay them, guys. We didn't pay them to say this.
No, I was
I'm
that was
blown
gonna
away.
say the exact same thing. We didn't pay them to say any of this, right?
For
Yeah.
intuition, right?
Yeah.
Just making sure anyone has any questions. Knows that
Yeah.
has to possibly leave as well because she's at work. And
She's at work. Yeah.
it's a Tuesday, right? So
Yeah.
just make sure. I don't think there are any.
Good.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you so much, honey.
Thank you, Ed and Divi, like, forever grateful. Oh, and just by the way, the fact that Lynnette is a previous attorney and Divi was a medical, like, in medicine, made a lot of sense why I ended up choosing them, because I needed someone who could balance that rational side with this that we have.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was very much drawn to the perfect teachers for me. And I hope that you guys find what you're seeking in this also. And yeah, that you take the plunge if it feels resonant for you, because I'm so glad I did.
Oh, thank you, Seth.
Thank you
Thank
so much. Mwah.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Seth.
You
Sending you great
too.
love. Thanks, Seth.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye, hon. But no, I'm a bit blown away.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I just so appreciate how they take their time. Like, here's Danny last minute showing up saying, yeah, I'll share. Okay, I'm happy to share, and knowing that this is going to be, on social media and those things where it's like,
You just freaked Danny
Danny's
out.
like, oh,
Yeah.
great. Because Danny has a lot to say. Danny's a very powerful example of how you can say yes to this work and just be transformative. I mean, when I see Danny, that's what I think is transformation. So I'm not going to say anymore. So.
Danny, anything you want to share before?
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, listening to Sep and Nira speak, they've really covered so much of it, but I think that there's a few things that I would love to bring to the table, just because my experience coming to this work is a little bit different. And my position, even financially, is substantially different from them. And so being able to speak from that angle maybe will fill in some blanks for others, that have been missed. So I just completed my year last year, which is so exciting. 1 year ago today, I was also a completely different person. Although this type of work isn't, intuition and spirituality isn't new to me. It's something that I've sought since I was young, but reading the books wasn't enough. And I had read the books and I had sought for answers. And but I lived my life as a highly anxious, very, very sad, very depressed. Like it was just a state of being that had developed in childhood and followed me throughout life, and seeking answers in this work, but never really being able to figure out why was this pattern happening, what was happening here. And so to speak to where I was, I've always been someone who's followed my heart and followed when my instinct tells me to do something, I do it. And so I followed my heart in my passion in life, which was hand weaving at the time. So I was an artist and not making a lot of money. So the investment of this course was almost half of what I would make in a year. Like, I'm not a wealthy person. And so, however, it came to a point in my work where it was like I had this deep seeking for something more, and so I just asked, what is, then bring me my teachers. I don't, like, I've read the books, I've tried doing the work, and I'm not getting anywhere. I don't know what else to do. You have to bring me the teachers. Just speaking to my, to my guides, to my whoever was listening. And so I stumbled upon Divi and Lynnette, and I had never worked with them before. I didn't know anybody who had worked with them. So to come upon these people but the course really resonated with me. Like I had seen other, I know that there's other types of intuitives out there, and I had looked at different ones, but it didn't resonate. And so I just trusted that even though the money wasn't there, that it was, I just had to trust that this is where I was brought, and to take that step forward. And so even throughout the course, it was always this thing that I had come up against was the money, am I making a mistake? But it was, what I had come to realize is that it's about doing the work for yourself. It's not about, the investment is in yourself. And so at the end of the year, would I do it again? Yes, of course I would. It's my capacity to be able to ground myself and understand what it was that was trying to be said to me. But I couldn't hear because of the anxiety, because of the depression, because of all, and which is actually, I think, a really interesting piece, is that it was that in doing this work, it's almost like for those of you who struggle with those types of things, this is what I feel this is what we're seeking, is because it's our intuition trying to speak with us, but we can't hear it. We're so out of alignment that it's causing so much contrast that we're freaking out. But it's when you can come into alignment and be able to hear that clearly, that all of a sudden you can move in rhythm with what you're supposed to be doing in your life, and things just flow. And that's kind of, I don't know, maybe I'll stop there. Is that?
It's beautiful. I mean, you made me, I'm like all sweaty. I'm like all that energy. Whoa.
Is there anything else you'd like me to speak to, or any questions? Or
Questions? Sarah, Rhonda, Julia, anybody questions?
I think Sarah
Yeah.
has one. Yeah.
Sure. Hi, I don't mean to take over all the
No,
questions.
it's perfect. Go ahead. Your question's
Um,
everyone else's, so go for it.
Thank you so much, Donnie. Yeah, that was super helpful. I think it's interesting because as I think about this course, I'm looking at it both from a personal lens and also a, how can I be of service lens? And my whole life, I've wondered why I was so sensitive, and I always felt like maybe there's gifts to be had, by being as sensitive as I am, but I haven't been able to totally figure out how to use my sensitivities. And so hearing your story is really beautiful. And thank you for sharing. And I was curious about, in your work life now, if you're still practicing your art, have you incorporated this work, or are you doing this work separately? Like, how is that going for you?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So I have started coaching, and my weaving is still on hold because I'm also studying plant medicine. So I'm also going to school full time right now, kind of rounding out an entire vision that's come to me. But the hand weaving plays an important role in all of this as well. And I can see how this work will allow me to transition back into that with a new scope of even my belief around money. So I only believed that I could make a small amount of money. And so it was like my container was only this big. And so even in being able to expand that to be able to allow in more, because making this investment allows you to overcome, I guess, those beliefs we have around money. It's like it comes and it goes, and it also it expands your container. I don't know how else to put it, but and so even with my weaving, one of my biggest things was that I didn't feel I was worth the work that I was putting in, and I put in so much work. It was, and so it allows me to now look at my work and from a different perspective as well. And with the coaching, it's definitely something that was a deep calling forever that finally I have words for. And even with the coaching, it's just something that comes so naturally when you say yes to it, because there isn't necessarily a set process of how it looks or how it happens. And it's just about saying yes to it. And every time it just comes through, and yeah, the expansion, the possibilities that have come out of this in any realm of your life, other work that you do, it just seems so much more easy to weave together. I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
I wrote in, beautiful Danny, thank you for sharing your story. That's what Rhonda wrote.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Danny, so much.
That was beautiful, sweetie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for saying yes, and just such a blessing to us. Thank you
much.
Totally. So last second.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you. Thank
I
you.
love
thank
you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna let Danny go or stay. Let's see that. Okay, perfect.
There we go.
Awesome.
Yay.
So just make sure there's no other burning questions because I've got some stuff prepped for tonight for us to teach and to take you a bit deeper and just to kind of play and pull from everything everyone's already spoken about. And Lynnette can add in, you guys can ask questions. Do you want to say anything before I begin?
No, I think that's perfect. Does anybody, any questions across yeah, we're good. I think
Yeah,
that-
Sarah.
Oh yeah, go for it, Sarah. I love that you ask questions. Thank
Sorry,
you.
I wasn't able to be on the first two live, and I did watch the videos, but I'm just kind of catching up. And this can be answered at the end or also at another time, but all of your guests have spoken about the cost of the program.
Right.
And I was curious, I haven't heard, maybe I missed something in the previous videos about just sort of what is encompassed in that cost and whether the Sedona part of the program is included or not included. And I'm just sort of curious about how, that the cost was sort of determined but that it might be helpful to be answered another time.
Right.
No, we can
No,
answer
let's
it now.
yeah, go
I'm
for
totally
it.
fine with that.
Yes.
So the cost includes the whole 9-month class, so the weekly classes, plus the pod groups, mentors, all that stuff, right? And in Sedona, the actual workshop is included. Your flight there, accommodations, and food isn't. We sometimes try to provide food. It really depends on where we get. Do you know what I mean? Like what venue we get. Sometimes we'll work out of a hotel and then we'll provide food. But last time we weren't able to just because of the nature of where we rented. Does that make sense? So basically, accommodation, food, and trip there isn't included. Did I get that right, Lynnette?
Yeah.
And any
right.
fun stuff you buy, like crystals, isn't
Right.
included.
We usually do in Sedona. That'll also sometimes, depending on what comes to us in the intuition weekend, we usually will do maybe bring in sound healers or ceremony people or something. We like to always keep it a surprise. So, and it always evolves, right? Like we couldn't tell you right now who that would be and what it is, right? Because everybody hasn't finished. We haven't started yet, right? The container's not complete yet. So it also includes that. And that's usually at least one evening we do stuff together. Right, Div?
Yeah, that's right. And then it so basically includes all of that. Did that answer your question, Sarah? Did I miss that part to it?
Yeah, no, I was just kind of curious because as I think Donnie mentioned, looking at other programs, I'm noticing some are at different price points. And so I'm just sort of curious, about.
Well, and so, and also, so all of our gatherings, the 3 every month, it's all live. Yeah. You'll have, connections. We have office hours. So if anything shows up, you want anything you want to share, anything that comes up, we'll be available to you, as well as your mentor, your pod group, and your coaching buddy. Right. The one thing that I know I can confidently say is there's not another program out there like this. And that's because we are all about, we hold our container and our people like we would if they were our own kids.
Yeah.
They're our own sisters, our own brothers. That's how important this is to us. Seriously. And it is a family, like you see, when I don't know, I realized after Danny got off, I was like, I love you. And I was like, oh, those people might think I'm weird, but that's because I truly do. You can't be in a container with someone that long and work so deeply and not have that love and that connection that lasts. Like Sharon, who was in one of our earlier recordings, Sarah, you probably didn't see her. I don't know if you saw her, but she was like in our first class and she's still like, hey, can I talk about it? Come on, I'll do it.
Yeah,
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll just
We
add
get
one or
it.
two.
I know, I just want to say I get it because I know what it's like when I'm being called to something and the price is like, has my brain, like my whole brain stop, because that's happened to me before. And just like everybody said, you feel that pull and it's like, wow, I can't, on my deathbed, am I going to regret the things I did or the things I didn't do? Right. And I'm like, I'm going to go for it. I mean, I did it all in, throw my hat over. I don't know how I'm going to afford it. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. Universe always provides if we will allow it. If we will allow it. Right. So it's part of the work. It's part of the practice. Right, Divi?
100%. Let me check if there's any other questions before I address that a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'll just stress that before I go into the process. We might go a few minutes over 6:30 if that's okay, because we're going to do a bit of a process in a second. So my own experience, Sarah, was I actually took 3 different intuition classes. 3. One, I think you're in the Shift Network class, similar to the Shift Network. I took something similar. And then I took one that was a 3-day intensive or 5-day intensive, 4-day intensive in Hawaii, very similar to Sedona, but different. Okay, because there wasn't a preamble or postamble. It was just 4 days. And then I had then I did a 1-year medical intuition class. I've taken 3 courses. By far the best was the in-person one. Okay. And one thing I think, because I know you're in the Shift Network class, the one thing that Lynnette and I, that Lynnette, as most of you know, is actually my coach. And that's how this relationship started. We co-wrote our book together. One thing she has taught me by far is the importance of live classes. And within live classes, the word that's commonly used is transmission. Yeah. Intuition, like, so how it works, Sarah, and everybody else who wants to hear this, is that it's like energy fields. And Joe Dispenza talks about this. I'm thinking on this plane of, say, blame. Get me in the blame game. I'm so good at that. Trudeau, Trump, you got me blaming, no problem. And then we can go to this energy field, go to guilt, whatever you want. Does that make sense? With intuition, we want to be in this energy field. It's not right, wrong, ugly, better, worse, nothing. But in order to reach this, there's a lot of transmission that Lynnette and I do in every class. Does that make sense? It's an energy transmission without words, right? You and I went for coffee and we blamed the world. We could do that in a heartbeat. But transmission that we do during the weekly classes is actually something that cannot be taught by video, like recording. I mean, does that make sense? Like, no, I don't mean recording. Like you can watch the recording and get it, but you can't be just watching a YouTube necessarily and get it as deep. Does that make sense? You have to enroll yourself and be ready and immersed. Does that make sense? And it's immersive trust, like you're trusting, like, okay, this bed's gonna support me. Do you know what I mean? And that's a big part of us getting your energy field up here. So by the time we get to Sedona, no problem. Does that make sense? Lynnette, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, it's beautiful. No, it's lovely.
I'm like, did I get that right in terms of words? But that's something that one of the reasons that we are really proud of this program, because like people like Danny and Nira, I didn't know before. They both signed up a few weeks before the training started. Both of them. Didn't know them from Adam. Nira heard about me through her hairdresser. Danny heard about me through word of mouth. Okay. Just like internet searching, heard about us through word of mouth. You know, Step I had known for 6 months prior, but again, word of mouth, right? My entire business is word of mouth. Yeah. And it's understanding that the right people will get drawn to us. And so if the pull is there, that's what I would say. So I could keep going, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah. Oh, did you raise your hand again, Sarah? Or you just went thumbs up? Oh, just thumbs up. She's like, take me to the good place, man. Yeah. Let's go on a journey.
Okay, let's go into the process. So tonight, what I thought we'd talk about in our last webinar is this concept of saboteur, because Lynnette has spent longer in this business than I have in terms of the intuitive world. I've been here less long. I've been here for about 12, 13 years. Lynnette has been here for 35 years. And we both know people inside and out that are so gifted, more gifted than us put together. Okay, but why aren't they out there creating magnificent businesses and helping people? It's one reason, is their saboteur. So we all have a saboteur. And one thing that as sensitives, we all know, and especially the people watching the recording, though all of you can relate to this, sensitives commonly have a common story. And you may not hit all of these points, but we all feel kind of the same way. We don't fit in. No one gets us. Our family may not get us. We always feel like the oddball out. We sometimes feel like, we have all this energy and what's going on. Some of us, we feel strange. We're like dying to be normal, right? And this doesn't apply to all of us, but some of us might apply to you. We might have health issues that we've done every test out there, and we know that we're not weird. We know it's our sensitivity because it might get worse, say at Christmas or when we're depressed or whatever. So these are common traits. You might not have all of them, you have some of them, but these are common traits of sensitives, very common, okay? And what I find, because I have been this person, okay? And I work with a lot of people like this. And what I often find is we hold a jail cell. We're like, let me out of this jail. I just want to be like that person normal over there that can go drinking and do whatever. I just want to be that. And I was like that for years. I just want to be normal, I used to say. And what I realized is I wasn't born normal. I wasn't born what normal is because my sensitivity is my gift. My sensitivity is my superpower that I'm here to serve people. But in order to do that, I had to get out of my own way. And my saboteur is the biggest thing that stops me. The saboteur is the voice that says, who are you to do this? The saboteur says that course is too expensive. The saboteur says, no. You see, and all the three guests spoke of it. The saboteur speaks, but then there's an inner voice that pulls you. Does that make sense? My inner voice is the only reason I do this work, because my saboteur has every reason not to. Does that make sense? I still have my medical license. I could go down there and work at a walk-in clinic like that. Does that make sense? But the voice, the saboteur says, go Divi, go work at a clinic. Do you see that? But this voice that says, be of service, people need help, go. I've had to work with those too. The saboteur always says, I need more time, I'm not ready. The saboteur says, I need to learn more, I'm not ready for that course yet. The saboteur says, I can't do this, who am I to do this? Who would ever listen to me? I don't have an MD, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a PhD. This is what the saboteur says. We hear it all the time. I want y'all to know, some of the most incredible people that we have trained, Lynnette and I, they didn't have an MD. They weren't psychologists. A lot of the most incredible, and there are three you met tonight are incredible, three examples, are people that are regular Joes. They're highly intuitive. And what the people that are very successful are ones that hear the saboteur and allow it to move out of the way and let their power step forward. So the purpose of the saboteur, as we all know, everything's the opposites here on the planet: hot, cold, good, bad, right, wrong. We cannot be here without the saboteur. The saboteur's job is to keep our power away from us. I want you to hear that again. The saboteur's job is to keep our power away from us. The saboteur loves blame, and it loves guilt, and it loves shame. It loves to sit at Starbucks and talk about the boyfriend who did this and the girlfriend who did that. The saboteur loves that stuff. My saboteur loves it too, right? I can go there like that, right? The saboteur also does not think that you can help other people, and it does not think you can empower other people. But I believe that we're all on this call, live or recorded, because we're here to step out of the saboteur. Lynnette, who does more like, and I'm teasing Lynnette, more of the witchy stuff, I'm teasing you. She will tell you, right? We're different. We're both highly intuitive people, but she will tell you that that is where the planet is heading. We are moving, the planet is moving into empowerment. And as women that are on this call, and there's men who are going to join the class as well, we're being asked to heal our stories of not feeling empowered. Okay. And we have a DNA lineage that says don't be empowered. We have past life stories that say don't be empowered. But it's only when we recognize that voice. And the thing that I will tell you, as a practicing intuitive, that voice comes up all the time. Like, it's so funny. Mine says, you should go spend $20,000 on a social media profile. My other saboteur says, you know, Divi, you just don't do this enough. You know, like my saboteur says, you should do like this with your business. And because I do this work professionally, I work with a coach all the time, I catch myself. Does that make sense? So, and I know that if I just listened to the saboteur, I would get sick again. And I have every reason not to do this work. Does that make sense? But I truly believe that one of the reasons I'm called to this work is to heal my DNA lineage of not being empowered as women and giving up our power, and also to step forward and help people with the gift that I was born with the gift that I want to shove away that made me not normal, is actually what I'm here to serve and help people with. So all of those things that I got sick with, all those reasons that I can't go drinking till 3 a.m. is actually what I'm here to help people with. Is this tracking? Is this kind of making sense? Okay. Any comments or questions before we go a bit deeper into a process? We're good. Can everyone relate to their saboteur? It loves excuses. Oh my God. And it loves the story. It does not want us to step into our purpose. Okay. And Lynnette knows this more than I do, because like she knows, she's been in this world longer than I have. And I'll get you to speak on this in a second. But the saboteur just loves to keep us in our trail like this. Right, Lynnette? Like, I'm sure you know highly intuitive people that are still living this dance. Is that fair to say?
Chasing their tails, right?
They're saying to hand it to you for a sec before I take them into a process. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think we've all been in that space where we look up and go, I'm here again. How did I pick the same guy with a different face? How did I pick the same boss with a different body? How did I pick this? It's the saboteur, right? Teaching us.
Totally.
So that's all I have, my darling.
Thank you. And the saboteur doesn't necessarily want us to step forward with our intuition, because for our intuition is third chakra, fourth chakra, and up. Okay, we all know the chakra systems more or less. The majority of our world lives in the first and second survival mode, period. Third chakra is empowerment, fourth is heart and up. Our intuition comes fourth and up. Got it? So we've got to open our third, which is our empowerment, in order to really aliven our upper chakras, our intuition. And a lot of people can bounce up and down, right? But it really is, this is your gift. This is why we're all strange and weird. I'm joking when I say that. But that is our gift. And so we've got to be empowered to step forward. The other reason I want to make a comment about ICT before I take you into the process, one reason I love ICT. So I told you I took 3 courses. They're all, even my 1 year medical intuition, there was not a community of people. One thing we love about ICT is you will meet mentors from previous years. You will meet people from many previous years who want to come back and say hi. And the whole group itself, we divide you into smaller groups, intuitively chosen, of coaching buddies, mentors, and pod groups. So you have like smaller groups too. That was one thing. One of the reasons I started this business was because I felt very alone as a spiritual person in Vancouver, very alone. And my husband is tired of talking to me, right? And he's tired of listening to me go, there's no one who gets me. Do you know what I mean? And so one thing we love about ICT is that the community is just growing, and it's all over the world. We have people in South Africa, Australia, Europe, Russia, Czechoslovakia that have taken this course, America, lots in Canada, because that's where Lynnette and I are. But it is really about a family of people who support each other. So I just want to give you a heads up on that, because as intuitives, we're actually scared to be seen and scared to become part of the community. But I've never, and I've been on a lot of communities, I've never seen a more loving community than this one myself. Like I refer people to Sep, Nira, Danny all the time. Yeah. Lynnette and I refer to each other all the time, like clients, back and forth, back and forth. It's not about hoarding. It's about let's share.
Yep.
Any comments or questions before I take you into a bit of a process? We're good. Okay, cut it. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes. Let's go into meditation. And we're going to go about 5 or 10 minutes over the 6:30 mark. So just FYI, if you have to take off, I understand. Go ahead and close your eyes and just settle into your body and just breathe in and out. With your eyes closed, allow your breath to let your belly lift and fall. Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls. Slow breath in. Deep breath out. Breathing in and breathing out. On your next breath, I invite you to visualize yourself at the very top of the staircase. As you move down this staircase, with each step you take, you release fear. See yourself taking the first step down and letting the fear of whatever it is be released. And as the fear releases, let love in. See yourself going down the next step. Maybe that's the fear of, can I ever do this? Let that go and allow love in. Maybe go down the next step. Maybe you release the fear of, where's money coming from? Allow that to leave and let love in. Now, at your own pace, move down each step. Maybe one of the fear steps is, what's my family going to think? Let the fear, there you go, one step at a time. Allow it to leave. Whatever the fears are, and move yourself step by step to the bottom. And just keep breathing. Beautiful. And now that you're at the bottom of the staircase, just notice how your body feels. Maybe there's still a little bit of fear there. It's completely normal. As you settle here, invite yourself to put your hand on your heart. With your eyes closed, invite yourself to say, I was brought to this webinar. There's something that led me here, live or recorded. There is a reason I'm listening. And there is a call here, whether it be for this program or another one, it doesn't matter. But there's a call that's waking up. And just affirm that for yourself. And take a few more breaths. relax your hand down, keeping your eyes closed and keeping the breath moving. I invite you to see, sense, or feel that saboteur voice sneaking in on the right-hand side. Just notice what they're saying. Maybe they're saying something like, you can't do this. You're not intuitive. How can you help people? Whatever it's saying. You don't have 10 degrees. Just be present to it. The hardest thing about the saboteur is we run from it. We avoid it. I want you to sit here for a few moments and just face it. And as you see it, allow it to keep talking. And after a few moments, you'll notice there's going to be a natural lull where it keeps repeating itself, but there's a quiet there. Try to catch one of those lulls and keep breathing. And I invite you now to look at that saboteur and say, thank you. Thank you for being here. You have helped me. You have saved me. You have caught me this far in life. I know you're here for a reason, and I thank you for it. I thank you for thinking I can't do this. Thank you. And I bless you and I love you. And I just want you to look at that part of you and thank it for a few moments. Keep breathing in and out. Now return to your center space. If you haven't done so already, connect with what we call your divine support team. Your guides, your angels, your ancestors, whatever you call them, or just that intuitive part of you. Just feel that. There you go. You can feel the difference. This intuitive, this divine part, this God self. This is who you truly are. And just be with that. You can see which pull feels better. As you start to compare them, you'll start to notice this divine part feels so much better. It might feel like light. It might feel like joy. It might feel like ease. It might feel like yes. And it doesn't matter. It's not about what program you do or anything like that. It's just about answering the call for your intuition and just keep breathing. Now, as you look at your divine support team, your guides, your God self, whatever you call it, I invite you to repeat the Ho'oponopono prayer to yourself. That's the forgiveness prayer. I'm going to say it as 4 sentences, and you just repeat it in your own head. You say this to your guides. You say, I am sorry. I am sorry for ever thinking I couldn't do it. I'm sorry for ever thinking I wasn't worth it. Sorry for ever thinking that I wasn't worthwhile. And just breathe into that. I am sorry. Beautiful. The next statement to your divine support team. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for ever thinking I was less than. Please forgive me for ever thinking I couldn't. Please forgive me. And just keep saying that. Now look at your divine support team and say, thank you. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I love you. I invite you to repeat that a few more times at your own pace. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. As you repeat this mantra over and over again, just notice how your body feels and how your breath moves. And just notice in your physical, energetic, mental body what's happening. And just keep breathing. Right now, you are shifting and stepping into your power. You're opening your solar plexus. And you'll notice that the saboteur, she's still there. She's probably just a little bit quieter. Take a few more breaths. before you start to come back into your physical body, take a moment to thank yourself for taking this time, your guides, your divine support team, all of it. And after a few more breaths, when you're ready, feel free to take a gentle stretch. And then go ahead and open your eyes, coming back to the bright room. Whew. Does anyone want to share how they are? How are they feeling? How are you feeling? I know I didn't want to rush that, but I also wanted to make sure that we got you out of here. I'll make you stay an hour. I could just teach that for an hour, but I won't do that to you. How are you guys feeling? Are you okay? Anyone want to share? Okay.
Good space.
Any comments, questions, anything coming up for you? Because this is our last webinar, right, Lynette?
Right.
Yeah. We start on March the 7th, which is a Tuesday. So if there's any comments, questions, you want to reach out to Lynette and I, and Rhonda will email you back. Please just feel free to message us, email us, whatever. We're happy to chat. We love talking about this course.
Yes, we do. We love it. We love it. It doesn't show or anything, does it?
Yeah, Sarah, go ahead. Sarah, go ahead.
Okay, I seem to be the big commenter tonight.
No, we love it. Trust me. We love it.
Wanted to share, that was really beautiful. Thank you, Divi. And so much emotion came up for me around this. I could just like feel tears starting to come down my face. And it was really, I guess, just validating and really a helpful exercise, because that saboteur is just really loud. Really loud. So I just wanted to say thank you. It's really helpful.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you. Because I didn't feel like I rushed it, because what I know me, I could take that and make that so much longer. But that's just an example. Like I think Lynette, last week you taught a money process, or 2 weeks ago. Those are 2 examples of processes we teach. Like every week there's a process. You will be so processed out that you will be like, ah. But Lynette and I practice these processes regularly. And Lynette and I will tell you, by the time we get to the business section, the quality and the business is a reflection of how much this work is. The business isn't hard. You guys need to know there are mountains of people out there looking for this help. Mountains of people who are, because what they're looking for is not just an intuitive. They're looking for an intuitive, like Lynette said it earlier to me, who's doing their own work. And that's why this course is so long. I'm going to be straight with you guys. It's not, I did 3-day courses. I did 5-day courses. I did a year course. The reason this course is so long is because we're asking you to do your own work so you can be a professional intuitive that's self-sustaining. Right, Lynette? You speak about that a lot. So it's very important. Thank you so much for saying that, Sarah, because it really is. By like month 5, you'll be like, Divi and Lynnette, do you actually have more processes? We'll be like, we got lots of processes. So yeah. And the more you practice it, like Mira talked about, it just kind of chips away at that baggage that we carry around. And a big part of the investment is you're investing in yourself. And just so y'all know, if anyone knows, Emily, who's on this call, I teach another class called Mind, Body, Spirit class, which is very different than this. It's a lower price point, but it's not nearly as deep. And I see night and day differences. When people invest in themselves, and I don't teach intuition in MBS. I teach like little techniques and processes, but this one is like a deep dive into truly who you are. And I also have Lynette's support energetically to carry that. Does that make sense? And so I see night and day differences when people invest in themselves and are willing to do the work and just go, yes, I am ready. And you'll be blown away. So thank you for sharing that, Sarah. That was my babble.
And can I just ask, I don't know if other people have this answer, or if I missed something on the website, is there sort of like a place on the website or anywhere that sort of shows the syllabus a little bit more deeply, if there is, such a thing, or just breaks down the time frame a little bit more?
There is a little bit. You might have seen. I'll send you the link in case you didn't, Sarah. I'll put in the replay thing. But it goes through. I don't know. Did you see the modules we go through? Energy module, intuition module. That's the best breakdown we can give you. So you did see that. The reason being, the processes in each module, like there's 2 sides to it. You don't want your left brain saying, I'm going to just go learn those. Do you see what I mean? And it's not that we're trying to hide anything, because we're not, but it's like, the processes and the techniques are not brand new. Do you know what I mean? None of the, it's not, we didn't create these, but the order in which they occur is different class to class. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And sometimes, you know, month 5, we're doing money because the guys are like screaming money, money, money. And I'm going to hand it to Lynnette in a second, but it's like, it's getting that, it's hard to go more specific than that because we could just go so deep and have like a textful website. Do you know what I mean? And so we try to stay general, but also give you some insight. Lynnette, do you want to help out?
Yeah, so basically each one of those modules, you can expect that it's a deep dive, right? And along with that, besides the support and the processes, but everything surrounding those topics, right? And they're also, because let's just take the money module because it's easy for everybody to understand. With the money module, typically we might do A, B, and C. But this class, intuitively, we're like, no, they don't need A, B, C. They need W, K, and Z. Right? So there are no 2 classes that are ever the same. It's all based intuitively on who's in the container, who said yes, what they need, what everybody in the container, what's going to best suit everyone in the container. Right? I mean, like literally it's all that your pods, everything is all intuitively chosen. It's all energy, the magnetics, right? So that's the reason why there's not like a straight up syllabus, Sarah, because it differs. And we don't want you to say, well, I didn't like this. I'm like, no, because you're over here already. You don't need this. Right?
She said it better than I did. Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm like, I know Lynette's got a better answer. Not better, but like, I was like, yeah, exactly.
You finish, honey. You come out of your trance. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I'm still in my like phase. But that's the thing, Sarah. Every class is different. We have had people take it twice, just, you know, and they're always like, oh my God, this is so different. Because the magnetism of the people that come together is a certain energy, right? Each year is different, right? And so that's just what we find. So that's why it's kind of general.
It's exciting for us because no two people or classes are the same. So it's awesome. We don't ever get bored.
We don't get bored. Yeah. No. Any comments? Yeah.
I had a question.
I go for it, Julie.
Like you mentioned your other class, the healing one, and like what I want is healing.
Right.
And so in the shift class, we're playing on Facebook, like doing readings. And I wonder, is that what this is gonna be like? Like, because I just don't hear or see anything. Like I have some spontaneous visions and stuff, but like as I just sit down and try to read, like there's nothing there. So I'm just getting super frustrated. I don't want to do that for a year.
No.
Oh, no, it's not. I'll let Lynnette talk in a second because I'm teaching the shift, but Lynette's going to give you a much better answer than I am. Shift is kind of like, you know, when you wade in water, Julie, and it goes up to your ankles. And then when you deep dive into the ocean, like the difference, or deep dive into the deep end, the difference. Shift is like an ankle deep, but because the way it's formatted, I have 7 hours with you guys. Do you see what I mean? The way it's formatted, I can't take you into the deep pool. Does that make sense? If I was given longer, 100% I could. But the way the class is structured, so I apologize that you're having that like hit, miss, but I will give you 100% stamp, like my word on it, because I've watched this woman teach, this woman to my right. She might be to your left, but Lynnette is like one powerhouse when it comes to teaching intuition. She blows my mind away.
No,
and I'm like so hot right now because so when I'm just going to be straight up with you guys, when I got asked to teach the intuition, I was like, that's Lynette's cake. Right. And I was like, what? But it was more for me to see I can do it too, which I know I can. But she is a powerhouse at taking you into the deep dive. And to answer your question about the difference, my sense, just reading it, Julie, and talking to you once before briefly, is the MBS class, because I don't do intuition there, I can't because the nature of that class, got it, is more ICT, because ICT is a healing class, right, Lynnette? Plus intuition, plus. So Lynnette, do you want to speak of the difference between shift and?
Definitely. So that hit and miss you were talking about, Julie.
It's not hit miss, it's miss.
Okay,
Like,
so the miss.
That's because you don't have your foundation, your
Yeah.
base, the energy we were talking about, that's where we start off with energy and working with energy in your body and building it into that space of connection to where you easily receive intuitive guidance. And I will tell you what we will say through the entire course. It's impossible to get nothing. And
Yeah,
I'm-
Divi does that, but it's not true.
well, but
In
that
this
for the
class, it's
shift,
harder.
it's because you haven't been able, you don't have the time to build the foundation. Your broadcast isn't strong enough. You don't have it's like you're open, you can maybe feel some energy, but you're not receptive, or the channels, right? Your fear, whatever stepping in the way. And that's what's great about this course, is because we go into all that. Somebody's like, okay, especially on the weekend in person, right? The Sedona weekend. Some will say, who didn't get anything? Somebody raise their hand. Okay, let's talk about it. Because I truly believe, I know my heart and soul, I've been doing this for so long, so long, my hair's gray, that it's impossible to get nothing. It's just how we perceive it and the sensor we put on it. Again, our saboteur, our ego, right? Our fear.
And
Right.
unfortunately, Julie, in the Shift Network class, I remember I said I took 3 classes. My first class was a lot like the Shift Network class, a lot like similar, you know what I mean? And I had a bite of it, but I was exactly like you. They had us do aura readings. I'm like, I don't see anything. And like they had us do these, but my desire was strong enough that took me to a class in Hawaii. Do you know what I mean? And I never blamed the teacher. What I thought it was I thought it was just the way it was structured, and it was exactly the same. It was like an hour a week for 7 weeks. It was exactly the same. And then when I went to Hawaii, it was like 8 hours a day for 4 days. I was like, ugh, right? And luckily for me, because I'd already been doing a lot of yoga and meditating a lot, the energy base was already built. So walking into that. And so in the 9 months, what we do is we build the energy base so that when we get to Sedona, no one fails. And that I do feel a bit bad, for lack of a better word, about the Shift Network, but there's nothing I can do. Like, it's 7 hours. I've tried to explain to people, there's so much energy. I remember how I said in that class, what I'm trying to teach in half an hour, it takes me 4 months to teach. Do you know what I mean? And I was really trying to emphasize that point, because you can't just dive into the deep end if you don't know how to swim. And I will credit Lynnette Brown 1,000% for teaching us how to swim. Like, she's a master at that. So sorry, Lynnette, I'm just gonna throw it.
No, baby, I
Sorry,
appreciate
you're the master.
Thank you.
But I hope that helps, Julie. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's kind of like the Shift Network is just it's the appetizer before the appetizer.
It is.
Whatever they call it. What do they call the appetizer before the appetizer? Like,
I didn't know there was such a thing.
yes, there is.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, what's your appetite for whetting your appetite for whetting your appetite? I don't know.
Totally.
A moose bush.
A moose bush. Exactly.
Emily.
There you go. That's it. Thank
Never
you.
heard that- Never
Yes.
heard that word.
Yes.
Never heard that word.
That's it. See, you guys totally get it. You totally get it.
And so, Julie, I hope that helps, because there is so much that I would love to teach the Shift class, but just the nature of how it's taught, I can't. Do you know what I mean? And just the way it's structured. It's like 7 hours online, right? So it's just the way it is. And so it's like Lynnette said, it's more to give you a taster, like my first class was a taster. And then I was interested. So actually what I did was I went to that teacher's teacher. That's what I did. Does that make sense? So this is my teacher next to me. So that's who's going to be teaching you intuition, that one. So that's exactly what I did. I was like, who's this teacher? Okay, I looked up her name. Where did she learn train? And I went to that person. So the woman on my right is the woman who trained me. So yeah, that makes sense. So,
A moose bush. A moose bush. I
yeah,
love it.
Exactly.
Okay. Everybody feels good. Everybody feel questions. Oh,
So,
wait.
Julie's got one. Yeah, Julia.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem.
This is logistical and it might already be somewhere,
it.
but you decided on the dates
Yeah.
for the meetings and when the Sedona is and all of that.
Yeah, we have. And so I'll give it to you right now.
Thank
The dates are already out, the dates and times. So it's on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock Pacific time. What time zone are you in?
Also Pacific, Vancouver.
So it's 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. and they're recorded. That's the live calls the first 3 weeks of every month, the first Tuesdays. Is that right? And then the mentor calls and pod group calls and coaching buddies are on your own schedule.
Okay.
That makes sense. And so people find schedules that work. So we have people, like we have like some European clients. I'm meeting tomorrow somebody from, I don't remember what country, but a country just east of Europe somewhere. I asked it, where is this country? He goes, it's east of Russia. I'm like, got it. So that's, yeah. So somebody who's like, I can't make the Tuesday calls because it's 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning. We're like, no big deal, right? Watch the recordings. But the pods, the mentors, the coaching buddies, we ask the group to make it on a time that works for everybody. Then the Sedona weekend is the September 16th weekend. I'm pulling it up right now. It's September 15th, 16th, and 17th, which is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they're all full days. So we ask people to get there on the Thursday and prep to leave on the Monday. Ideally, like not come in on Friday, not leave on, just it's not possible where Sedona is located, Phoenix.
Makes
Can I answer
sense.
your question?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks, Julie. Awesome question, Julie. Any other questions? Yay.
Good. All right. Thank you so
guys.
much.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Sending you big love. I'll send out the recording tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
I'll send you an email run in a few minutes.
Oh, and send me one too, Divi, because I want to see if I can put it on my page too.
Oh yeah, perfect. Thanks guys.
Bye.
Have the best night. Bye. Guys, ciao. Bye, Lynette.